US President Donald Trump will meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington this Friday to discuss sending much-needed weapons to Kyiv, Axios reports, citing its sources. According to Axios sources, the meeting will focus on whether the US should provide Ukraine with long-range Tomahawk missiles. Some issues are too sensitive to discuss over the phone, so the leaders will meet in person. Zelensky is expected to arrive in the US on Thursday, October 16th. Ukrainian Presidential Office Chief Andriy Yermak will be in Washington from Monday to get everything ready for Zelensky's visit. Both leaders have confirmed they will meet this Friday.
I hope that I will have possibility to come to Washington and have a meeting on Friday with President, and of course I have some more meetings which are also important for me. Some military companies which are important. I want to not to share details about it, and also maybe also some meetings with senators, congressmen.
The meeting between the two presidents comes after 2 days of phone calls. The leaders have been discussing additional military support for Ukraine, especially in the wake of Russian strikes on the country's energy infrastructure. Donald Trump does not rule out sending Tomahawk missiles.
And we talked about the weapons they need, what kind of weapons. They need Patriots very badly. They'd like to have Tomahawks. That's a step up. They'd like to have Tomahawks. We talked about that. And so we'll see. Well, I don't know. I might have to speak to Russia, to be honest with you, about Tomahawks. Do they want to have Tomahawks going in their direction? I don't think so. I think I might speak to Russia about that, in all fairness. I told that to President Zelensky because Tomahawks are a new step of aggression. But you understand that very well.
President Volodymyr Zelensky has outlined possible ways to fund the delivery of US Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine if the transfer is approved. He made the remarks during a joint press conference with European Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas in Kyiv. Zelensky said Ukraine currently has decent options to potentially finance the US missiles deliveries. This includes a reparation loan using frozen Russian assets, NATO's Pearl initiative for buying US weapons for Ukraine, or a mega deal. On the frozen assets, Zelensky stressed that it's an issue that still needs to be resolved.
For now, most leaders view this mechanism positively, but that would first require a political decision. You know how it usually goes in politics. First, a political decision, and only then the activation of all other mechanisms. Here, though, a faster decision is needed.
Meanwhile, Financial Times journalists have learned how many Tomahawk missiles the US could provide to Ukraine. Stacey Pettyjohn, director of the defense program at the Center for New American Security, says the US could provide Ukraine with 20 to 50 Tomahawk missiles. She added, however, that this would not decisively change the dynamics of the war. According to the Financial Times, Trump is closer than ever to making a decision, but nothing has been finalized yet. At the same time, Mark Kenshan, a researcher at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, estimates that the US has around 4,850 Tomahawk missiles in its arsenal. The US has accused China of trying to undermine the global economy. According to Financial Times, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said China is attempting to harm the world economy following Beijing's announcement of restriction on rare earth exports. He said that imposing these restrictions less than 3 weeks before US President Donald Trump expected meeting with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping in South Korea points to problems within China's own economy.
This is a sign of how weak their economy is. They want to pull everyone else down with them. Maybe they have some kind of Leninist business approach, thinking that harming their own clients is a good idea. But they are the largest supplier in the world. If they aim to slow down the global economy, they will end up hurting themselves first and foremost.
He also said that China is in a recession, if not a depression, and is trying to recover through exports. At the same time, China has declared it is ready to fight to the end in its trade war with the United States. Russia could enter into a conflict with NATO by 2029. German intelligence chief Martin Jäger has warned. The reports come from the deep side.
Moscow believes it has a real chance to expand its sphere of influence westward and make Europe, which is economically much stronger, dependent on Russia. To achieve this goal, Russia, if necessary, will not hesitate to engage in direct military conflict with NATO. We must not rest on our laurels, thinking that a possible Russian attack will not happen before 2029.
Sinan Selen, head of Germany's domestic intelligence agency, warned that Russia is actively pushing its political goals against Germany, Europe, and Western allies. He said Russian intelligence is stepping up its activities, including spying, spreading disinformation, interference, sabotage, and cyber attacks. Selen added that Moscow still has access to Cold War-era tools. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte warned that a potential war between Russia and NATO would be very different from the war currently being fought between Russia and Ukraine. He made the remarks during the NATO Parliamentary Assembly in Ljubljana, La Repubblica reports. Rutte said that if Russia were to take such a reckless step, it would trigger a full-scale conflict with the North Atlantic Alliance. However, he added that this war would not resemble Russia's war against Ukraine.
It will differ from the war between Russia and Ukraine for many reasons that I cannot explain in detail right now, because we do not want to give them any informational advantage, but this war will be different.
That's it for now. For the latest news, follow our X account, WarrenPolitics24. The link is in the video description.